Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today we're going to talk to you about RC toy batteries. In this case, we're going to talk a little bit about mostly the RC helicopter batteries. Now, the particular batteries that are on the table here, these are factory batteries out of an Interceptor 052 helicopter, which is made by Interactive Toys. And they're not a bad battery, to be honest with you. 600 milliamps, 3.7 volt, not bad. However, I didn't like the flight time and I wanted to see if I could double it or, you know, at least get a lot more out of it. So I was able to accomplish that by just simply going to this battery, which is a 3.7 volt at 1000 milliamps. Okay, this also aided in not having to do a lot of messing around with shifting the nose weight around. Okay, whereas if I would have strapped two of these together, this would be a lot of extra weight, and it also wouldn't have fit into the helicopter mounting area either because it's way too thick. Okay, and I would have actually gotten 1200 milliamps out of these two because these are 600 apiece, so that gives me 1200 milliamps when I double my milliamps as opposed to 1000. But size and weight dictated, go to this one. And this battery I pulled out of an Oddly Exploiter helicopter. So for those of you who've been asking me, where do I get this battery from? That's where I got it from. You can buy these batteries and many other types of batteries online at a lot of different hobby places and so on. These ones, I pulled them out of other helicopters, you know. So that's where I got mine, and that's how I managed to save a bit of money that way too. So, the first thing we're going to show you is how to double your voltage and double your milliamps, and that's actually very basic. Anyone who's got any kind of electronics background would probably know this right off the hop, but in case you don't, we're going to show you. What you simply do is you take two batteries and you tie a positive on one to the negative on the other. Okay, this is going to give you, now these are 3.7 volt batteries. I'm going to show you the voltages separately after, just so you know I'm not, you know, BSing you here. So negative, positive. That gives us 7.7 volts on our multimeter. Okay, now these batteries have been sitting in storage for a while, so it should actually read a little higher, but you know, after a few months they start to drop a little bit. Okay, so we've doubled our voltage, we've doubled our milliamps, so now we have 1200 milliamps combined, and we've got 7.7? Yep, 7.7 volts as opposed to 3.7 volts. So let's just disconnect that, put this aside, and we're going to show you. Okay, 3.91, fluctuates a little, 3.91 volts, 3.9 volts. Okay. Basically, a 3.7 runs a little higher in voltage. Every battery does. So you can take a 9 volt battery and you can do the same thing. Check its voltage and it's actually going to run just a little above. Okay, and that is perfectly normal. It's just the way it works with batteries. So you're not going to blow anything up, so don't worry. Now, when you want to talk about just doubling your milliamps, but not your voltage, you go negative to negative, and the one problem with these wires is they don't like to twist together very friendly. You might want to use a soldering iron if you're doing this, because these wires don't stay together on their own. So soldering irons work really good for... Oh, came disconnected again. So we're going to go positive to positive here, and then of course negative to negative. See if that'll stay together long enough for this. So we have positive, positive, negative, negative, negative to negative. So this is going to keep the voltage the same, but just increase our milliamps. So we got our negative, and we've got our positive, and 3.85 volts, but we've doubled our milliamps. How you know for sure that you've really doubled your milliamps, because I really can't explain the mathematics to you on this one, I just know it works, is check your runtime. Your runtime should increase, okay, because you've doubled your milliamps, you've allowed it more power, it's going to give you more milliamps. And I've tested this several times myself, every time without fail, not a hassle. I've always doubled up on my milliamps without changing my voltage. And of course, I double my milliamps when I double my voltage, or triple your voltage, depending on what kind of battery system you need to do, right? These little helicopter batteries are extremely lightweight, and with these you have a little bit of playroom, so if you want to get a little bit more flight time out of your SEMA S107s, which are actually one of the more popular ones that for miniature helicopters that I've seen on YouTube, these battery packs run about 70 milliamps a piece. That I have in my hand right now, and so you can do the same trick. Double your milliamps, keep your voltage the same, double your voltage and your milliamps. Now, when you're running on a 3.7 volt system, okay, and this would go for a 9 volt system, etc., you don't want to double your voltage, because that's when you blow stuff up. You only want to increase your milliamp output. You want more flight time, you want more driving time, then you go for doubling up on your milliamps, not your voltage. Voltage double ups are in the case of this sort of a battery pack, where I built this for my Audi S4 race car, because it's just a little costly to pick up a new 1,000 or 2,000 milliamp battery, and I'm going to be stuck in the same garbage again. You know, I'm only going to get, you know, maybe a half a dozen, maybe a dozen charge cycles out of a NIM or a NiCad pack, and then it's going to be toast. Okay, any of these batteries in like a race car type of thing, they will get hot. Even these get really hot when you're draining all that power all at one shot like that. These batteries are lithium ion. Lipo cells are about the same reaction way, is that they provide power to the very last breath. Now, you know, for years all we had was NiCads and NIM packs, and they were trying to say, hey, you got more constant power, and then it'll just all of a sudden poop. Okay, well, that's only kind of a bit of a half-truth. There's a bit of a myth to that one. I used to run NIM packs and NiCads in my race car, and I noticed within the first minute a performance drop, which really didn't thrill me much. Since I've been running these lithium ion packs that I built like this, I get constant power for like 15-20 minutes straight, no hesitations, no loss of performance anywhere, and then it'll just all of a sudden actually just die. Now that's what NiCads and NIMs were supposed to do, but these packs actually do it. So I'm very impressed with that. But I saved a lot of money by building my own battery pack like this out of these two helicopter battery packs. These two packs came out of the Aldi Exploiter helicopter, but you can get these online, a lot of different places. You're also going to need the charger designed for this battery in order to properly charge it. I had to take two of the battery chargers that came with the helicopters, tie them the same way I did for doubling voltage and milliamps on the batteries. I had to tie the chargers the same way to be able to recharge this particular battery pack here. And I left the original connector in place so that I could recharge. And then this connector comes off, and that goes, this is the older style Tamiya connector, that goes into my car and it runs my car. And I get a hell of a lot more playtime, and like I said, no performance drop. It's just amazing. It's like a car on steroids. I got 2,000 milliamps out of this, and I get a lot more fun and enjoyment out of this battery pack in my car, because I'm also reducing weight, you know, which also helps with longer run times too. Now I'm not reducing a ton of weight, but I am reducing a fair amount of weight out of the car and when I'm running this. So I'm not really increasing the weight to ratio performance so much as I am getting more juice available for the car, because the car is a hog on battery power. It wants every ounce of juice it can suck up and then some. So this was the better way to go with it. And this battery pack will get hot when you run it flat out with, you know, no braking and you're just running full throttle straight all the time. These battery packs will get hot, so let them cool down for at least an hour if you run them in a race car before you try to recharge them. That is also a very important thing to mention too, which I'm sure I have on other videos, is even these little guys here, you wouldn't think they would get hot, but all batteries do when you drain out of them. So when you're flying your helicopter with a small little guy like this, give it a 10-minute cool down time before you go and recharge them. You're going to get a lot more charge cycles and better performance out of your helicopter before you're going to need to change one of these batteries. Right now my GT Mini, which is my little Skyline RC Toys helicopter, it uses a battery approximately about this size. It's got now, I would say, close to 100 charge cycles on it and still going just like new. You know, because I allow the cool times. I actually allow 20 minutes and then I'll recharge it. Okay, so very important with any battery is you got to let them cool down and before you recharge them. Otherwise, you are going to shorten their lifespan a lot. So, just as a little recap, positive to negative is going to double voltage and double milliamps. Positive to positive, negative to negative, voltage stays the same, milliamp gets doubled. So that's how that works. So if you have any other questions, let me know and I'll do the best I can to answer them and we can go from there. So I hope you really enjoyed the video and all the information and that it helps. And we'll see you on the next video.